Hi, my name is Audra, and I did my topic on a personal experience from my last job that I had. So, how I structured my paper was that I started off letting you know the entire story of what happened, but then I dive a little bit deeper into each different part of it as we go along. So, the background story is that I was concierge at a hotel. I'd been working there for about 2 years, and in the position I was at, a concierge was just a concierge. There was no room for advancement whatsoever. And I worked up in a lounge area, and there was a lounge supervisor, but it was always given to the front desk supervisor, who always worked down at the front desk, so they didn't know what was going on in the lounge at all. However, the manager would always go to this lounge supervisor when they wanted advice on things to change up in the lounge, or any issues. But since the lounge supervisor never worked up there, they didn't know what to tell them that we actually needed. So this led to a very upset lounge staff. We felt on our own. And so after seeing this happen several times over, I decided to go ahead and speak to my boss about it to see if there could be some change made. So for the discussion that I had with my boss, I thought through what I wanted to say and what my arguments were. So I prepared what I had wanted to say exactly. And preparation requires research, careful thought, and analysis and creativity. And I made sure that our discussion was face-to-face, as face-to-face conversations are the best way to go when meeting others, especially for conflicts. So I advocated my reasons to her on why these things should change, and I ended on a note of knowing that we would come back to the discussion, as my boss said that she had to go do some research on it and get approval from her boss to create a new structure to the lounge supervisor position. So I really left the discussion with hope and thought things would change, and I ended up being wrong. I never heard back from a manager, so I felt merely heard and pushed off to the side. I confronted her a few weeks after our conversation to follow up, and she just said, "No, sorry, not in the budget," and that was it. There was nothing creative, a solution to think of different ways around it, just, "Nope, sorry, can't happen." So my manager chose to deal with conflict by basically ignoring it. And this was not effective, as it led to a continued frustrated staff. And I had tried to resolve the conflict by approaching my manager and thinking of ways to change our current situation with the lounge supervisor. But no change was seen, so I had to deal with the conflict as I had been in the past. The lounge staff felt left on their own, as they had, and so they started to backtalk the manager and supervisor even more, and staff members would sneak things out of the lounge because they were upset with the company, so they're like, "Oh, I can steal this and take this home." So ethically, I didn't feel right participating in these kind of negative conversations and practices that were going on, and after listening to it for months, that's when I decided enough was enough, and I go talk to my manager. And as a Christian, we're supposed to be the first ones to go and resolve conflict if no one else will. So I really felt pressured to go and speak to my manager about this conflict that was going on. And being a senior staff member, I chose to take the lead. This showed my manager and coworkers that I was dedicated to the team and for them. By approaching my manager, it showed her that I was honest and assertive. And assertiveness and honesty are necessary in order to influence others and persuade them. And it affected our conversation because my manager could see my credibility from having been there a long time, and also just my desire to want to help out the team. There's 5 different stages of negotiation. So I did some of these well, my boss did some of these well, but I also lacked in different areas, which led to, I think, a resolution that wasn't very favorable to myself. I prepared before the negotiation, which helped to keep myself on topic and showed that I was prepared. In the introduction stage, I kept my tone of voice in line, which kept the conversation civil and focused on the issues. In the initiation stage, I could have done a better job by asking questions. My managers just kind of let me talk, and then at the end, so she was very quiet, but then at the end, she just said, "Oh, yeah, sounds good. Like, I'll go and see what can be done." So I should have asked more questions, maybe like, why is it set up this way, or what can we do if the budget doesn't allow for a lounge supervisor and things like that. In the testification stage, my manager used forbearance tactic, which was she put off the decision and asked for time, which seemed understandable at the moment, but I should have asked maybe for more of a time frame, and so that she couldn't really ignore me for the amount of time that she did. And in closing, I failed to refute my manager's silence. I should have shown how dedicated I was to come away with a solid conclusion instead of having this unfinished conversation. So those were just some different things that I learned that I could have done better or that I did well at. On the bright side, there are some good takeaways from the negotiation that happened. More often than not, when you do fail, you need to know that this is one transaction of many. There's lots of opportunities in the future to retry your case, so I could have maybe tried a few months down the road just to bring it up again or thought through other ways. And best negotiators find value in unexpected places. So one good thing that came from this is that I showed my boss that I cared about my job and that I cared about my team and I wanted the best for all of us. And I also gained experience from the negotiation, so now I know kind of when I come to other conflicts in life what has happened here in the past of how I can correct myself and be better prepared for conflict when they arise. In conclusion, in order to negotiate, you need to think about how the other individual plans to play the game, so to speak. My manager played her cards well, which left me feeling like I had the upper hand, when in reality I was just being heard and kind of pushed off to the side. And so in the future, I plan to utilize the skills I've learned from this course to help me negotiate conflicts in a better manner. And here are my references. Thank you for listening.